Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and we all know how bad things are when it comes to Title IX and U.S. college campuses. And not just the U.S., Canada, the U.K. I mean, university campuses everywhere feel like this hotbed of like a minefield of just whatever you do, you're screwed any way you look at it, right? Now, there are many cases where the accusations levied against people are 100% justified, but we find more and more and more every single year that many of them probably aren't. And because of how Title IX is structured and because of how the Obama administration back in 2011 really kind of screwed the pooch when they were trying to ultimately help people, I believe, we find ourselves looking at a story like this. And trust me when I say this is pretty damn heartbreaking. This student here, his name is what's Marcus Knight, is in a lot of trouble. He's an autistic student who asked for a fist bump and a selfie, and now he has 2 Title IX investigations. Yeah, a fist bump and a selfie, and then he's facing 2 Title IX investigations because thanks, Obama. It says here that a fist bump and a selfie may have ended Marcus Knight's educational career right as it started. The student, who has autism, cerebral palsy, and a shunt to relieve fluid pressure on his brain, was not allowed to defend himself against 2 Title IX investigations this past fall. Aurora Knight, his mom, had raised more than half the money needed to cover legal fees through GoFundMe as she challenges the sexual misconduct filings on her son's record. Now, single mom, she definitely needs the help. So follow the link below if you do want help out after this. Their Saddleback College lifted its suspension a day before the hearing last month. It has thus far refused to remove the findings from his record. Now, her son has limited expressive language capabilities and cannot negotiate social situations as easily as others, which tends to be a byproduct of someone with autism. They just don't get it. It's just they can't process it, right? But most people out there who I guess are, I don't want to say the word normal, but maybe typical, whatever. I don't know the right term for it, to be honest with you. But those people tend to, know how to navigate certain social situations. They don't know what it's like to have autism and not, you know what I mean? I have a brother with Asperger's, so I've watched him in some certain situations, and like he gets a lot of it, but some things he doesn't, and that's not his fault, and it's not Marcus's fault. But sadly, because you don't want to walk around with the shirt that says "I'm autistic, be nice to me," although maybe some people probably should, it becomes very hard in certain situations, especially when you're on a college campus, and even just looking at somebody in the eyes can constitute harassment and aggression, as we've learned from previous cases. Now, although he receives academic accommodations for his disabilities, he was not offered accommodations in the Title IX process. When we look at the individuals with limited social skills, we cannot expect that they respond the same way as a typical individual, which is true. Former Drake University trustee Thomas Rossley, whose learning disabled son is suing the university for a similar ordeal, says that Marcus's case goes to the whole problem with disability issues with Title IX, which again, I don't think it was this catch-all that has ultimately really failed in catching all. It says most schools don't even let students know how to ask for accommodations within a disciplinary process. And this is coming from Rossley, whose own Title IX retaliation claim against Drake were dismissed in court last month. It says here, so these students don't know that they can even get accommodations within the disciplinary process. Whether the accused student or the accusing student, he says, anyway. So Aurora Knight, though, here's basically what happened. Aurora Knight laid out a narrative of the allegations in a phone interview, saying that the first incident occurred in the first week of September 2017, when Marcus was in the student services office, and he asked a female student working there if he could fist bump her. She agreed, but soon filed a Title IX complaint, saying here that the next week, he and his mom were asked to meet with the school's disabled students programs and services coordinator, who allegedly called the fist bump inappropriate behavior. Aurora told the Fix that Marcus did not bump anything other than the female's knuckles. But of course, they weren't able to get confirmation from the coordinator themselves. His mother then told the coordinator that Marcus had been at the office seeking campus employment. The official allegedly said that it would be totally pointless because Marcus was obviously incapable, but should be taking adult disability classes instead of college classes. Though the coordinator said the incident would not go on her son's record if the behavior stopped, the mother became aggravated by the description of the consensual fist bump as inappropriate. Now, she asked the coordinator, did he touch her? Did he hug her? Did he follow her? Did he try to get her number? Did he expose himself? When the coordinator allegedly said no to each, Aurora said, then stop calling it inappropriate. He's just trying to make a friend. Now, a person with cerebral palsy and autism And the shunt, I mean, he's going to be limited in what he can do, right? And what he could do may have been inappropriate to the woman who filed the complaint, right? Which is just, it's sad nonetheless. Now, a month later, Aurora explained to Marcus that the female student did not want to be his friend, and he agreed not to interact with her anymore. Okay, so that's that. Which does lead me to ask the question, was this multiple interactions and then that could have led to a problem? I don't know, but I think the article is kind of framing it as no. Now, a month later, an official who served as both vice president of student services and Title IX coordinator called the Knights in for another meeting with police present because the female student had reported the incident as sexual harassment. The student changed her story to say Marcus hugged her, sat very close to her, grabbed her with one hand, with the other tried to get her hands on his upper thighs. Aurora said that does not seem physically possible, given that the female student had been sitting behind a counter. Marcus acted out what he did, a two-handed fist bump at the meeting. And again, limited capacity, fist bump. But changing her story from a fist bump to what appears to be aggressive groping, that's a little suspicious, isn't it? Now, Aurora and her son were never allowed to formally defend him throughout the process and didn't hear back from the school between meetings except for an email from the coordinator recommending life skill classes. College staff present at the October meeting had Marcus sign an informal resolution of sexual harassment and told him not to have contact with the female student. Because of his autism, Marcus didn't understand that he could not apologize to the student in person. When he approached her in the cafeteria, everyone was pointing at him because the female student had been telling everyone he was weird or dangerous. People with autism aren't dangerous. They might come across as weird, but again, it's something that people just don't have a lot of experience with. I don't have a lot of experience with this, so you have to take a few seconds to figure it out, right? Try to look at it from their perspective. Though he left the cafeteria before reaching the student, she filed another complaint against him. When Aurora complained that the student was spreading around rumors about Marcus, Aurora said an official told her in so many words that gossiping was not against the law. Now, he was also then ordered to bring a personal assistant with him to classes. And even though Aurora, his mom, was paying the assistant, sometimes a person would suddenly cancel and Aurora would have to either leave work to attend class with their son or he could not go. He racked up so many absences to where he failed. He couldn't pass his English class and then only half passed another class with a D. She said an administrator told her in the spring that he should be put on academic probation, even though his grade point average did not merit it. She says here, my son works hard, very, very hard. And they have there was another incident as well. I'm not going to go through the whole thing on this one because it's a long article. But the next incident involves another woman with whom he wanted to get a selfie with. And he had his phone set to burst mode, which takes about 100 photos in one burst. And she claims that he was groping her or aggressively putting his hand on her shoulder. He can only really extend out a couple fingers given his limited, his disability. And as a result of that, she filed a complaint. So now he's facing all these complaints. They are going to give him the opportunity to bring a lawyer in and get some adequate defense, which is good. But at the same time, this is a case where it's you have a guy who is clearly differently abled, who doesn't appear to be a monster or a menace, but is a person who is a young guy at college trying to meet people, probably wants to meet a woman, wants to get to know women, as they are to straight guys feel like. And then as a result of that, he's been accused of aggressively groping a couple different women. Now, one could argue, just on the sake of the other side of the argument here, that this is a guy who maybe he did do it. Maybe he did, and this is a progressive problem. But if there's never been any other indication of this throughout his life, which we don't know, the article doesn't say, and there's never been any problem like this throughout the rest of his life, then I would argue that it's probably just a lot of miscommunications, especially if he wanted to apologize and he went to the girl to apologize and she had been spreading all of these rumors about him, that he's dangerous and he's weird and everyone was looking at him and pointing fingers and treating him as an other. You can see how that would have a lot of damage, a lot of impact on his self-esteem, which would probably then impact his grades. Never mind, he needs to bring a secured personal assistant to make sure he doesn't do anything bad. I mean, it's adult daycare supervision for college, and that is just wow. That is pretty bad. I feel nothing but empathy for Marcus here, because I don't feel like he is a monster. I feel like he is a person who doesn't quite understand the current climate on college campuses. He doesn't understand how widely or wildly inefficient Title IX is, when it was opened up the way that Obama did back then. And again, I'm an Obama supporter. Title IX was one of the worst things that his administration did. The Dear Colleague letter just made things so much worse on campuses, especially for men. And as a result of that, I don't think it's done much to really kind of like curb, a problem with sexual assault on campus. That's just my personal take on it. But at the same time, we do need to treat each case individually, and the broad aspect of how Title IX works is leading us to this particular situation. So anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. Do you feel that Marcus is just getting done dirty by the college? Do you think that he's got his own set of problems he should work with, and that maybe he is a bit more aggressive than he should be? Where do you stand on this? I'm curious to know your thoughts. Anyway, my name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back often for more content from me. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.